I'm hopeful that this time Twitch won't crash on me, so we can actually, respond to the audience should an audience attend today. Anyway, hello everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is March 18th, and this is the March 18th Text West Devstream. So today is Saturday, so we're going to be getting back into custom content creation. Specifically, we are going to be doing a lot with the game map. So showing you what rooms you've created, how they connect with each other, etc., etc. Now, since last week I have made a small amount of progress on this and showing you what I have so far, and let me tell you, it's a whopper. Basically, oh crap, sorry, I forgot to turn off my crossfade, so I can't really show you what I've done if I only have about 5 seconds. Oh right, I forgot how long it takes to stop occasionally. Ay, you gotta love it. So we'll give it the requisite, I guess, 30 seconds for it to actually stop playing. I really do wish I knew what was doing that. It has to be something like unloading resources or something, because it's insane how long it takes to stop. Well, in any case, I guess while that's stopping, oh, finally it does. It does it as soon as I look away. Okay, let's turn you off, and let's go ahead and start playing. Okay, so this is our game map. Nothing too different there. I have gotten rid of the save button because it's all going to auto-save now, and I have added an options button that does nothing right now. In the future, it's going to let the user do things like change the background color, so nothing spectacular, but some nice features that I would like to have. So we can create a new room. We have our new room hover information, and then when we click on it, it'll populate the information here based on what that room node has in it already, which is currently nothing, obviously. And actually, that's not fully set up yet. That's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be jumping around actually quite a bit today in terms of content. So the first thing we're going to do is actually create a singleton for the custom game stuff, just so that I can easily access things like data IDs, um, room IDs, things like that. Currently, I have no way of doing that, which is preventing me from really doing much in terms of like the exits and things like that. So let's go ahead and close that. And that's about as far as I've gotten really in terms of opening and closing that menu, is that you can actually open and close that menu. Don't be fooled by this. This is not actually populating based on information that's been saved. That's just there because I apparently don't clean it up properly, so we can do that super quickly. But we're gonna be going sort of all over the place today in terms of custom content creation tools. So first thing, since that's a small fix, we're going to fix that room issue. So we're going to come up here, and on close, we will just recycle all of our room exits, which are right here. Or I'm sorry, exit nodes. So let's just say, come up here to private autosave, refresh info. Let's go ahead and say private void, generate exits. We're not going to do anything from that yet. I'm going to say private void clear exits, and that's going to be super easy. So we're just going to say for int I equals room exits. Actually, it's exit nodes, isn't it? Exit nodes dot count -1. We don't need to do that. We can just do 0. I is less than exit nodes dot count I plus plus, and then we'll say exit nodes of I dot on exit delete minus on exit delete, and exit nodes of I dot on exit edit minus equal on exit edit, and then finally we'll just recycle it. So pool manager dot recycle exit nodes of I dot game object. And then down here, after all that stuff, we're going to just say exit nodes dot clear to clear the actual list. And then up here in close, we will just say clear exits. Okay. So that's really simple. And it's just something that I hadn't set up yet. So once we have that, or once we confirm that that works, that shouldn't really take much effort beyond looking at it. We're going to jump to creating a singleton so that I can easily access what rooms currently exist, as well as determine what data IDs exist, what variables exist, a whole bunch of other stuff. Let's go ahead and play this. Okay, we're going to make a new room, add an exit, close this, open it back up. Okay, that's what we wanted. And I'm not going to focus too much on trying to get the room fading coroutine thing here to work. You can see that's popping up there. That's a bug we found last week, and it's a small enough bug that doesn't really warrant my attention right now that I'm not going to worry about it. All right, so next thing we're going to do is, so we have this custom game script, which is it's just a mono behavior that's going to try and keep track of all of this stuff and execute this, any data related questions that the game might have. Now, currently, it's not really functional, which is obviously not great. But that's mostly because I have not really decided how I want to implement it. Should I make this something that exists in the scene at all times? Should it only exist when you're in one of the classic game menus? How do I want to do that? And I think for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it a child of my global object, which is just something that always exists in the game. So similar to, say, Sound Manager, Scene Loader, these are all just singletons that are meant to be accessed at any given time. I think I'm going to end up doing something like that. So I'll just create a child of global, basically, for custom games. So let's go ahead and start setting that up. We're just going to say create new, so underscore custom game session, I suppose. So this script is very similar to my session script. Session script is sort of the game, sort of like the bottleneck for a lot of the main text quest game. Everything sort of passes through it to say, like, what is my data ID for this? Has this door been opened or is it closed? Yada, yada, yada. So custom game session will basically function the same way, but with a lot more stripped down sort of content. I can actually show you session, because you can see that it's largely going to have the same stuff. It's going to have bool values, number values, string values. It's going to have an inventory. It's going to have levels, stuff like that. But I don't really need this level of control in a custom game, I don't think, because this is doing stuff like making autosaves happen whenever you progress, which probably custom games I don't think would have, really. Well, no, it probably would be something interesting for them to have. But I guess the main reason I don't want to use session is because it has a lot of stuff like this level ID, which is not going to be applicable in custom games. Things like spawn points, game difficulty, those are things that just don't need to exist. Things like words typed, sentences typed, and maybe treasures found would be nice, but obviously I can just sort of duplicate that code in a more streamlined fashion for the custom games. So I think I'm just going to make a simplified version of this script for custom games. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. Because, I got stuff like item coordinates for when you drop an item. It needs to memorize their exact space, like their exact position in space, for when you load a level, all that stuff. That's not really necessary for custom games. So we have a custom game session. Let's come up here to game logic. I'm going to say create C# script custom game session. Now, this is also going to be interesting because I actually don't need this or I probably shouldn't use this for when you are editing your own custom games. It probably should have some sort of utility that's being driven by, like, a author session tool or something like that. So, Because there could be information that's sort of exposed on the. Well, no, that doesn't make sense. The idea is that it spits out a file that's readable in both cases. So, yeah, okay, we'll just make it a custom game session then, and this will work for both editing and playing the actual game. So this is going to be super fun, because we're kind of gonna get a lot of this information. I probably could just move custom game, I suppose, down. Seems like a waste to try and rescript it. So if that's the case, let's come up here, and we're just gonna drag custom game onto it. Okay. So how do we want to handle this? So it's gonna have things like rooms, and that's pretty much it for now. Do we have a get bool? No, we have from JSON, so we don't really have anything set up to actually retrieve information. The main reason that I made custom game a mono behavior and not just a static class is because there could be instances where we want coroutines to be running. I kind of feel like maybe I should actually split it out into two different classes. Because basically the way I've been approaching custom game stuff is there's a class for actually executing logic, and then a class for writing all of this logic out to data and reading it in. So the custom game would probably have a custom game info, basically, that is responsible for saving and loading all of the data to and from JSON. And then that just gets fed directly into this custom game, which can then populate everything as necessary. So, how do I want to do this then? Well, let's look at the things that I immediately need. So, right now I'm trying to get multiple rooms to populate in a unique way. Crap, I was worried about that. Yeah, if I drag and then release, it's going to click on an object, which means that every time you try to drag a node around, it's going to click on it. Gotta fix that. Let's see. So for this, we're going to need an ID for the room to get generated, which is invisible to the user. They're not ever going to see that. I'm going to need exits, which means that I will need IDs that I can select from. Not too worried about directions. That's going to be the same thing all the time. And that's currently it. That's currently all I really need. So let's do. I guess how do I want to retrieve it is the question. All right, so right here, room node, or actually no, custom game map view. On new node, clicked. It's probably at the bottom. On new room, clicked. I need to create a new room node. And yeah, I think I'm going to break the custom game stuff out into two different classes. One for editor stuff and one for general playing. That's mostly because I don't. There's going to be a lot of weird specific editor functionality, like getting room IDs, that won't really be needed for the regular game session. But I guess I can. I guess I can actually. No, hold on. How do I want to do that? I was going to say I could extend the functionality of, say, like a. So you have a base custom game session class, and then you would have a custom game editor session class, and the editor session would be based on the custom game session, and that's largely so that you could do stuff like generate room number or room ID, because the base game is not going to need to generate room IDs; it will have all of the room IDs already. So, yeah, let's try that then. So we're going to have custom game editor session. And I guess I should actually rename that to author session. Just because I'm calling this author mode. So, and that way I don't get confused with like, oh, is this an editor script? Because those can't be included in the game. Let's come up here. I say right click after it compiles. Shazam. Abracadabra. There we go. Jeez, takes forever. Create C# script. So custom game author session. Okay. Let's go ahead and get these things working. Reload all. Okay. And I'm going to kind of restructure this. So basically our custom game will actually be responsible for mono behavior logic, while our custom game session will largely be a static class. It's not really going to want to do too many things over coroutines, but it will be responsible for feeding data. So let's open this up. Let's open up the author section. Okay. And then let's stick these in the right namespace. Text quest. Save this. Okay. We will have this one derived from custom game session. Simple as that. Alright. So custom game session is going to need a couple of things. I'm going to say using, not Unity, I'm going to say sleepyowl.common. It's going to need JSON functionality. So will this probably sleepyowl.common. And this will also have a couple of extra functions. So let's go ahead and do this. This is going to be fun, by the way. Do I have room info? I have room. And I think I'm going to actually add a room info. Just like how I have room and room exit, I will have room info and room exit info. Oh, look at that, I already have them. Oh, that's right, I started on these right before the stream today. Let's pull those back up. So these are purely going to be for data purposes, while the room will actually sort of take care of the actual gameplay logic. The room info is purely for things like saving to and from JSON, all that stuff. Okay, so let's go to custom game session, and we're going to have I'm going to say using system.collections.generic. All right. Let's go to, well, yeah, public's fine. So public list room info, Guess I don't really like doing that. I was going to call it rooms, but I think that'll be a private list. So private list rooms equals new list rooms. And that's for actual game logic, whereas the info stuff will be for just data. Okay, so once we have room info, will we need custom info, or will we need anything else really? Just to start off, not particularly. Okay, so let's come up here to room info. Where are you? Here we are. So for this, we're going to have a public string room name is equal to nothing. Oh my god, can't type. Public string room ID is equal to 0, and that should be an int. Okay. And let's see here. Let's go ahead and say we're going to have a list of exit info, I believe. Drag that over here. Target is the room target that it is facing, and I believe I needed something else. Oh, right, a bunch of data checks, which I started to do. So let's go ahead and say using. No, hold on. I like to do these in a specific order. I like to do Unity engine, system, and then my own stuff. Using system.collections.generic, we're going to have a public list room exit info. Is that what it is? Yep. Okay. Exits equals new. Blah blah. All right. And I think that's pretty much it. Look at our room node. Do I have anything else that's really? I guess we'd be looking at room data, wouldn't we? So we're looking at ID, room name, description. Description's kind of initial or important, isn't it? And then all of these objects and such. Room names, public string, public string, room description equals nothing. I'm gonna move the ID above the string just so I can group my strings together. All right, and to do objects and items. Okay. So it's going to be a little bit of a repetitive data day. We're going to see a lot of from and to JSON stuff I'm going to have to fill out. So I'm going to say, I'm going to keep them private for now. Private const string. Well, actually, I think I can go to custom game utility and do all this, can't I? So let's open up custom game utility, custom content utility, right? Let's see, file, variables, rooms. Here we are. Description, exits, items, and objects. So all this stuff is there already. Let's come over here to room info, so I don't need a list of keys. Instead, I can just do that all here. So we're going to say this dot. I don't really need to do that. I can just say room ID. Room ID is equal to JSON dot get int value, and then custom content utility dot room ID. Room name is equal to JSON dot get string value. Custom content utility dot room name. Room description equals JSON dot get string value. Custom content utility dot room description. Okay. And this is where it's going to get super fun. Say JSON array room exits is equal to JSON dot get array custom content utility dot room, not descriptions, room, oh my god, keeps room underscore exits. There. Alright. And then we'll need to do for int I equals 0, I is less than room exits count, oh sorry, dot length, I plus plus, we're going to say exits dot add new room exit info, and then room exits dot get object at index I. Alright, now we're going to need to come over here, and we're going to have to say public room exit info JSON object JSON equals null if JSON does not equal null from JSON. Okay. So that adds all of that information. And for now, that's all I'm really worried about. I don't care about objects. All right. go ahead and get our 2JSON stuff working. So we're going to say JSON.add. It's going to be custom content utility .room _ID, then room ID. That. We're just going to paste that a couple of times. So room name, room description. There we go. All right, and then let's see here. We're going to say JSON array. Let's go ahead and put that up here. Say JSON array. Actually, you know what? Say if room if exits dot count greater than 0, then we'll actually do that. Let's go ahead and say new JSON array. So it'll create one if it doesn't exist. All right, and from that we're going to say JSON array exits JSON equals new JSON array, and then we'll say JSON.add content utility .room _exits, and then exits JSON. Okay, for int I equals 0, I is less than exits.count I plus plus. And let's see here. Oh, hey Garrett. Welcome to the Saturday Devstream. Game's coming along pretty nicely. Been doing Markov chains for the past week because I saw a talk at GDC talking about generating text with Markov chains, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm looking into that. And then, of course, it's Saturday, so I'm doing all the custom content stuff. And currently working on getting basic data loading and saving out. So I'm not sure if we'll be able to do it today, but it would be nice if I could get like build a room and then go test it. I would like to be able to get that functionality working. I'm not sure if I will be able to or not, but it would be cool. So, how have you been? And then we're going to say exits JSON .add exits of I .to JSON. Nice and simple. Okay. So let's see here. So we have our target, we have our direction, and that's pretty much all we really need for now. Hold on, let me confirm that. Room exit. This is the original class, and we're breaking it out a lot. Oh right, the checks. I need to do that. So I have something here called a progress check, which is basically meant to have a series of values, either bools or ints or floats, and then you can say what they should be, basically, and then it'll loop through and say like, is this number greater than the number you want? Is this bool the value that you want? And if all of that evaluates to true, then it'll say it is valid, and then you can continue. And the reason I'm doing that is so that users have the option of saying like, you can go through this door only if I don't know, the 7 stones of the elements have been collected. Otherwise it'll say, oh, a mysterious blue hue covers the door and you can't go through it. So we can't quite get room exit info fully completed yet, and that's because I hit this snag here where I don't have a way of confirming game data. And I also need to change this. So, because, of course, I almost forgot that I need to have a way of comparing what the types are. So, that's super fun. I'm gonna let that compile, because I did a bunch of stuff. But okay, game is making progress, slowly. Refactoring a lot of prototype code to get it ready for production. Cool, cool. So you picked out the new game that you want to work on then? Because I remember that you were doing a lot of different prototypes, but I don't think I ever saw which one you decided to pick. Let me do progression. Right, here we go. Create, and this is going to be progress var comparison. I should have said comparison type, but yeah, it's fine. I feel like I've scripted this exact functionality about 5 times in my game. I really should have a better system at this point for doing it, but I keep needing very specific things for it. So let's see, progress for comparison is going to be a byte and an enum, and don't need any of this. So we're going to say by default equals what the hell? Is a shift key held down or something? What is going on? What is... That's so weird. Okay. I do not know what the heck is happening. Oh, equals must be a special keyword. Okay. I've never seen that before. Apparently, if you press tab after equals, it's going to do a whole bunch of stuff like that. So it's going to try to override the actual equal stuff. Okay. Well, that's pretty terrible. Let's hope that doesn't actually throw an error. I'm curious if it will. Greater, let's do... Okay, fine. So let's just say equal, not equal 1. Greater 2 less 3. Okay. Making RPG builder, craft simulator, some multiplayer prototype I started a couple years ago. Single player to keep it simple. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I've never seen that before either for the equal thing. So, fun fact, I guess. And since these are the only things that it can be, equal, not equal, greater, or less, that's all I need to do for it, really. And I need to come down here and say public progress. Oh, dang it. Of course I deleted that. Hold on. Let me see if I can get to it. Progress. Data, progression, text quest. There we are. So, progress, bar comparison. Okay. And it's as simple as that. So, go ahead and leave this. And I guess for progress check, God, do I want to break this out into a freaking info class? Probably wouldn't hurt. Yeah, I probably should. Well, no, see, that's the thing. Is that I get too bogged down in these details. So for your RPG builder, crafter, and all of that stuff, do you have a theme? Are you going for fantasy, post-apocalypse, distant future? Let's see. So custom game view. Let's go ahead and close some of the stuff that we don't need yet. Actually, let's go ahead and start figuring out how we want to retrieve IDs from rooms. So for this, we're going to say, do we want a dictionary of IDs and strings, or do we want a dictionary, or do we want a list of just room info with integers? That's probably actually fine. So let's go ahead and say public room info get room, and then we're going to pass in an int ID. Okay, so for this we're just going to say using system.link return room info dot first true for all. Oh, I said for each. First or default ri dot id is equal to id. All right. And in the custom game author section, we're going to be able to say public int generate room ID. And what generate room ID is basically going to do is it's going to loop through the list of rooms that it has. I'm going to have to change this to protected, won't I? Or of the room info that it has, and say, okay, what is the highest number of IDs that I have so far? Because it's basically going to be an integer that I'm going to increment. Originally, I was going to make it second since epoch, and I got that stuff figured out. But then I realized, well, what if they click double click super fast, or I don't know. There's no reason to have numbers that big when I can just shorten them down to basic integers that'll just keep on iterating. Because I highly doubt that people are going to get several million rooms in there, so I'm never really going to run out of integer space. So for this, we're just going to say int new ID is equal to 0 for int I equals 0. I is less than room info dot count I plus plus. And I'm also going to make this start at 10 actually, because I want my rooms to sort of have, I want to reserve the first couple of integers in case I need to use them. So it's going to start at 10, which is basically a magic number that I probably should comment. Start at 10, so 0 through 9 can be reserved for special rooms if needed. Okay. I don't know if I'll ever need that, but I would like to have the option. So, first-person fantasy, realistic-ish art style, most likely, like Skyrim and Minecraft. Okay. Nope. Ah, no! I dropped my water bottle lid. Do you have a sort of set lore for the world, or is it more just like Minecraft, I guess, where you're just plopped in and then told, go nuts? So we will return new ID. Okay. And for this, we're just going to say if room... I guess actually I don't... Oh, man. Oh, man. I guess I'll just do this then. New ID is equal to room info dot room ID. Sorry, room info of I dot room ID plus 1. I probably should confirm that that ID is unique. That way I can basically recycle IDs if they become open again. Jeez. So that's super great. Because my main concern was that I can't just set it to be equal to the room ID plus 1 all the time. But that's only assuming that at some later date I change it so that you can have previously freed numbers. So let's say you make 10 rooms, then you delete the middle 5. That would give you what, like rooms 1, 2, 3, and then 9 and 10. Or I guess technically it'd be 1, 2, 3, and then 9 and 10 for simplicity's sake. So there's this huge chunk of IDs that are now no longer ever going to be available. So I might as well try to recycle those and use them again. But I guess we'll see. So I guess, this is gross. I suppose it will work. And we're just going to say room info. Hold on. Room info equals get room from new ID. And we're going to say if info is equal to null, we will break out because that means that our ID is unique. So, not super great, but you know what, it works. Let's go ahead and put that down here, equals null. Okay, there we go. That way we're not constantly like creating a new one in memory. Thematically, you're a teenager, and hold on, I will read that in a second. let me go ahead and try to make sure that that looks nice. Okay. Do I need anything else in here while I'm at it? No, I don't think so. So let's come up to here and go to our custom map view. Okay, so room node. Let's go to definition here. Let's go ahead and have a public void initialize based on room info. Okay. Is that really what I want to do there? I don't know. Is there a reason? Yeah, because I don't know. I don't really see much of the reason for me doing from and to JSON here. This is kind of worthless, I think. So I don't really need this. Instead, I can just do that. Get rid of this. Okay. So let's go ahead and say room data should probably have something to do with this. So hold on. Room, go to definition, and let's just say public room info. Okay. And then from there we are going to say I would need to populate all of this basically. So we would say ID equals info.id. Room name is equal to info.roomName. Oh, right. We're going to change this to an int. Description is equal to info.description. And then I'm not going to worry about anything else for now. Okay. So now we need to go to room node, initialize, and we're going to say room data is equal to new room based on this info. Okay. And then down here in the custom map view, we're going to say room info node info is equal to new room info. And I probably should go ahead and add some definitions of this. Okay. Public. That was weird. Public room info int ID. This dot room ID equals ID. Don't need this there, do I? I forgot I did everything with room. Okay. All right. So I can read everything, I think. Let me take a quick breather. So thematically, you're a teenager in a culture as a coming of age ritual where you get dumped on an island of a different culture, not to survive, make your way off in order to go back to your home or village. Okay. Part of the game will be overcoming set piece challenges and interacting with NPCs. A lot of systems. Skyrim, Stardew Valley with Ultima Story. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a big project. You are going to be working on that for quite a while, I think. Let's see. Map view. Here we are. So now we can say, client. No, not client. I forgot. global dot get custom game author session dot generate room ID. Super fun way of getting that. So that will create the new node info, and then we can say nodes dot, or not nodes, just node dot initialize with node info. Okay. And that should at least set up new int values, I think. So, looks like we got a squiggle up here. Node from JSON. Ah. Right. Well, actually, no, that's fine. Instead, we can say nodes JSON. Save key, node info. I suppose this would be more like nodes dot room data from JSON. I think that would work. I think that, well, crap. Nope, I lied. The room node does, well, does it need... God dang. Trying to think through this weird backward system. So basically, let's say I'm looking at loading a game that I've been working on for a while. So what I should do is I should load all the data. Then once I've loaded all the data, I should loop through my lists of rooms, populate the rooms, and then once I've done that, I need to loop through all of the nodes and say, okay, looking at your room data, do you have connections? If so, let's go ahead and get that connection. So I'm going to come up here to generate room ID. We're going to have public. Oh boy. Room. No, see, that doesn't make sense. It should probably be the map that handles that. So let's come up here. So I'm actually not going to worry about generating nodes yet. I'm going to be more worried about just getting data sort of set input. Yeah, I got to scope down, so no freaking multiplayer, Windows 64-bit only, etc. Well, this is less text quest and more because I'm generating my own custom map tool for people to make text-based adventures. Because that's what I wanted my Saturdays to be, basically working on this fun tool, so that people can, make like, oh, I want to make a text-based adventure, and then they don't have to use Twine, which I hate for some irrational reason. So hopefully this would be basically a little bit more accessible than something like, say, TADS, which is, it's a good development engine, but you do need to know some programming. So this would be a very, very visual way of doing a lot of stuff. And it's probably stupid for me to do this, honestly, but I honestly think that having a custom game functionality built into TextQuest on launch will help a lot. So, right, the room node from JSON stuff. I guess we can just get rid of that. Just don't really need it. Okay. Yeah, I know. I'm really crazy. I'm bad at this. Mostly because wait, what? Really? Ah, right. Is this even being used anywhere? No. Yeah. Part of it is I do want to. Yeah, and that's the thing is I do like. I like mods. I don't know how to support mods in the way like something like Quake did, where it just had a bunch of scripting sort of that people could do. I'm not that crazy. I just don't quite know how to do that. This is going to be get int value, and then that, I suppose, for now. We're not going to worry about that. We'll get that later. But I want to have this functionality because, one, I'm curious about how to do it. I want to know what the pitfalls are with supporting custom, like user-generated content. Because I would like to make that a part of my game design philosophy is letting people customize things on their own, even if it's only something small. Although, obviously, making entire games inside the game is a bit of a challenge. But all the systems are there in place, so I don't really need to go crazy. I'm not heaping a bunch of new mechanics on myself so much as I'm just heaping a bunch of user interface and user experience stuff on top of myself, which is probably good for me to learn anyway. So it's definitely going to increase some of the development time just because I need to take the time to actually do it. But he who dares wins, I suppose. Eventually, once I launch. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to remove this. And this is now going to be, it's up here, isn't it? So this is going to be custom game session. And then I'm going to duplicate this and say custom game author session. Remove that. And this is going to be our author session. Okay. So we do have both of those, which is good. And now that we have room IDs generating, we can actually populate a list of all of our rooms. Although before we do that, let's go to custom game session. I suppose we can do something like, let's go up here to the very top. I'm going to say public list string room names. And for this, we're going to just say get return null to start. List string names equals new names. One thing I learned from Steam was that adding features to your game after shipping gives you an excuse to promote your game again. Also gives people to talk about. Yeah, that is true, and that's why I've kind of been soft working on the whole custom editor stuff because I would like to have it ready not necessarily like as soon as I launch, but rather at launch. So like I release the game and then maybe within a month I can release the tools for making custom games, or at the very least, maybe launch with just text-based adventure, and then a week or a month later launch with graphical adventures, so stuff like King's Quest where you can have backgrounds. So I don't know. That's something I'm still thinking about. All right. Well, I'll probably be on here for quite a while today. So nice talking with you again. It's been like 3 weeks because I went to GDC and I've been gone. But it's nice to be back streaming on regular schedules again. So, yep. Have fun recycling computer parts. All right. So now we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than info.count I plus plus names plus equal, or not plus equal, what am I doing? Dot add room info of I dot room name. Okay. So oops, list of all the names used for by rooms. Okay. Now the main reason that I need that is because I have to dynamically populate my custom room drop down stuff. So come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, actually, I guess it's not going to be there. It's going to be... hold on. Room exit node. Just drag that into the UI. And I guess we'll give it a height of, I'm guessing, 50. Let's 60. Okay. And I don't know, like 100. Come down here. Okay, 300. 400. There we go. That's probably good enough. All right, so let's open this up, and for this is where it's going to get super fun, by the way. We're basically going to populate our direction, or not our direction, our target dropdown dynamically, so that you can, let's say, add a room number, or so you can add a new room to your map, and then when you come back to a old room to say make it a connection, so make an exit go to that new room that you've added, that new room will show up in the list. So let's see here. To JSON on direction change. Do I have an initialize function on here? I do not, apparently. So let's go ahead and find all references. Custom room view. Right. Drag that over here so they're together. So let's go ahead and say, let's see, clear exits, generate exits. On exit clicked. There we are. So we're going to need an initialize and a load function, I guess. So let's go ahead and go up here and we're going to say public void initialize. And this is going to initialize the dropdowns. So we're going to say, this is going to suck too. So public void deinitialize. Let's go to, I guess this would be private. So private void generate target drop down. Private void clear target drop downs. All right, and we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than, and actually let's go ahead and cache this. So we're going to say list, which of course I don't have yet. So using system.collections.generic. Okay, so list string names equals client. I keep saying client, it's global. Dot get custom game author session. Yes, that is correct. Dot get. I'll see. No, it should be fine. Okay. I'm a little worried that I have to be very careful that I don't accidentally try to reference the regular custom game session when I'm doing something with the editor session. Otherwise, the data would probably not be there, and it wouldn't return an error so much as it just wouldn't return anything. And then I would say like, why isn't it working? It should be working. And it's just because it wouldn't have the data necessary. So let's see. So we're going to get our author session, and then we're going to say dot room names. That gives us a list of all of our room names. And then we're going to be able to say names.count I++. Let's go ahead and go through here, iterate. And then we're going to say, what did I call it? I called it directional dropdown. Directional dropdown dot add options, and then I believe I can just give it a list of strings. Oh, well that's convenient. I can just give it the list of strings, so I can just say names. That works perfectly. So I don't even need this for loop. In fact, I don't even need this this whole storage. I can just do that. Sweet. And then for clear target dropdowns, I can just say direction dropdown dot remove. I'm pretty sure I have an options. Hold on. Dot options, clear options. How perfect. Thank you, TextMesh Pro. You make my life easy. So that's going to populate the drop downs at runtime, and that's going to populate or clean them up properly whenever I close, so I don't need to keep them in memory. Okay, now that handles the actual. So we're going to say generate target drop downs, and let's go ahead and say on deinitialize clear target drop downs. I guess we'll go ahead and say clear target drop downs here. That way we don't accidentally end up with some weird situation where we keep adding to it. Okay, so come to our custom room view. Once we've created our exit node, we will need to say exit node dot initialize. And right now, if we do that, we should actually get a drop down of 1, I would think. Oh man, you know what's really going to suck is I actually don't need a list of all of the strings or all of the room names. I need a list of all of the room names except the current room name. Well, no, maybe I should leave that in. Because what if you want to have something weird where like going to the right will actually take you back to the same room? Yeah, no, I should actually leave that in. Because it's not unusual for text-based games to actually have, like, say, going west just takes you to the same room if you're, like, in a large plains area or something like that. So, nope, I don't need that. Hooray! Haha! Laziness wins. Okay, do I need anything else really from here? No. Okay. Let's go ahead and apply that. Delete. Okay, let's take a look at this. Although, before I forget, I do need to... Oh, wait, no, that's why I brought that in there. Hold on. Room exit node. I actually brought this in here so that I could change the target dropdowns template, because I forgot to do that before. So, content, item, it's a toggle. Let's go ahead and make it 2. Let's give it our item background, check mark, and label. Here we are. Okay, I guess it is... Okay, maybe it was just incorrectly done before then. Well, let's find out. So we're going to play. Give it a second. New room. Let's hit this. Add a new exit. Nope, it doesn't look like it did it. Crap. Well, why didn't you? Did I put that in the wrong spot? No, yeah, right there. Initialize. Go to definition, generate target dropdowns. That should do it, but that doesn't make sense. Hold on. Let me debug this. Did I not make those serializable? Game author session, which is actually from this. Ah, okay. System.serializable. Go ahead and have that just so I can have nice debugging purposes. Okay, so I should be able to look at this now. Shazam! When it compiles. That's disappointing that it didn't generate the drop down. I don't quite know why. I actually don't even know if I need this anymore. So let's go ahead and play. We'll create a new room. And oh, duh, because the new room isn't actually being added. Sorry, the new room isn't actually being added to my session. So let's come down here to custom game map view, room nodes, generate nodes. Don't need to worry about that. We actually want to come down here to this. All right. So now we're going to want to say client, or not client, man, global dot get custom game author session dot, I guess we would say add room. You know what? That's actually a good question, or a good point. Let's come over here to custom author session. I'm going to say, yeah, no, you know what? We'll put this below it. So we're going to say public room info, add new room, and it's basically going to be return. Well, no. Room info, new room equals new room info, generate room ID. Okay, and then we'll say rooms dot add. I guess it's not rooms, is it? It's room info dot add new room, and then return new room. There we go. And that means that I can simplify this down to equals dot add new room. Ha! So now I should actually be able to set this up. Although, hold on. Room exit node. I'm still curious why this wasn't clearing. Well, let's find out. So, we're going to play. And we're going to do new room. Room name. Add exit. See, but we do actually have this. Oh. Ah, crud. What's really going to suck is that whenever you edit a room name, I need to make sure that I send out a refresh event to all of the exits in that room. Ah, jeez, that sucks. But it still doesn't seem to actually be initializing this dropdown. So I'm going to do something fun, which is going to be pausing while that's up. Then let's go to, let's see, view container, custom room, panel, connections, scroll area, viewport, exits grid, room node, target drop down. Yeah, it's still, that's not super great. Oh, okay. I think, wait, no. What? Why on earth is this the wrong color? It's like white. Oh, it's not that it's white, it's that it's not visible. Duh. Okay. So I gotta fix that. Super fun. Okay. So let's go ahead and drag out our exit node again. I'm gonna go to our target dropdown. Hit F. Okay, template. Viewport, content, item. Okay, so I think I need to increase this size, basically. Or not. What the hell? Like, that looks correct to me. Then why do you think you are not populating? So it totally is. It's just not visible. What the heck? Okay, well, let's leave that for now. I wonder if it's not properly doing anything. I guess let's go ahead and see what clear options does. I'm wondering if this does not actually clear its like the existing options. That would be problematic now, wouldn't it? Well, I suppose I can try to do. Well, no, jeez, Yarg. Eh. I apologize for my large amounts of grunts and groans, because apparently that's what I do whenever I'm frustrated. Um, ba, ba, ba. Yeah, super great. I will go ahead and do some quick updates for this. String name. That's it. And then we're just going to say room name is equal to name. Okay, let's come over here. Add new room. New room. Just so that it does have some sort of name when it gets in there. That way it's not blank. And maybe that's... No, that doesn't make sense. I don't know why that would be the case. But I suppose maybe it wasn't adding blank rooms. Yarg. I don't know. Let's go ahead and try that, see if it made any difference. Because it would be nice if it did. Okay, so we're going to play. Generate a new room. Exits. Oh my god, super awkward. Why is it hidden? Or is it not? Maybe it's like a sorting issue. View container, view. Connections, exits. All this fun stuff. I was going to unpause this so I can see it live update. Target drop down list, viewport, content, item, label. Because the label is clearly, it clearly exists. But it is also clearly not updating. My only guess is that it's too big and it's being like trimmed. But that is clearly not the case. So what the hell? Can I set this to like 2? Nope. It's not doing anything. But the question is why? Great. Well, that's just fantastic. Sometimes things like this, it's a weird sorting issue. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's just not. Like, it just doesn't exist. That's so weird. Huh. Yeah, it just does not want to do it. Well, I don't quite know what to do here. I guess I won't worry about it for now. But it's not generating either, which is... that's the problem. It's not generating or clearing. And that's super weird because I've done this sort of thing before. Like, I've actually generated those pop-up lists at runtime. Jeez. Let's try going to the target dropdown and making it have 0 option. Well, I can't make it have 0 options, basically. Well, no, surely I can. I would think I could. Let's see here. Room 3. Maybe I should take a look at this when it actually generates, see if it's changing. I'm wondering if it's caching some value or something. So let's go to our custom game session. Author session, good. We have room, new ID, or new room. Add an exit. All right, so now we can go to our view container, drill down. Okay, target drop down. See, our target dropdown has not had its stuff cleared. So either I'm being really dumb, entirely possible, and I'm not clearing this. Excuse me, I'm not clearing this properly, or I'm not initializing it properly, or something. Or this is not getting fired. So I'm going to go ahead and throw in a debug there just to make sure. There it is. There. Wait, hold on. No, that was the wrong thing. I'm sorry. So on new exit click. Should initialize. Okay. So let's go ahead and we're going to say debug.log test. Okay. So slowly go mad, I think. I think that's my plan for today. Just slowly go crazy. And then see what we can do from there. So let's go ahead and populate this. New room. See, it calls it, which means that it's just not doing anything. Oh my god. I hate myself so much. Why am I stupid? It's direction drop down. It's target drop down. I'm going to hurt myself one of these days. Give myself an aneurysm. I'm actually going to be even more angry if I go back and look at that video and see that it was saying new room constantly on the other drop down. God. I hate it when I do that. Yeah. Yep. Nope. I bet that this just kept saying new room, didn't it? Well, that makes me feel stupid. But in any case, so at least we got that auto-populating now, which is good. It's not super great that it still is invisible down here. And God, I really wish I knew how they were doing this sorting, because you can see that it sorts above my cursor, which is, it should be physically impossible for it to do, unless it's just having something in its code tell it draw on top of everything. So that's super annoying, but we're not going to worry about that for now. So we do have a new room, hooray, and that does show up in the in the drop-down list. So the next step is going to be renaming it, and then reinitializing everything. So let's go ahead and say, we're going to need to save out our room exit node. We need to determine which name we have select. Oh, geez, that's not going to work. Oh, geez. No, it's ID. It's the ID. But that's not going to work super well. Now is it? So we do have a problem with, let's see, custom game session here. The way room names and IDs are going to work, the theory behind it is that by giving every room a integer ID that is unique, you should be able to basically always be able to find that room. And if you don't find that room, it means that it doesn't exist because its ID is unique. However, if I try to look for a room by a name, it's potential that you could have like hallway, 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 if you don't want to, be careful and name all of your hallways. So I can't really reliably look up rooms by their name. I need to do it by ID. However, since they're going to be using drop-downs, I need to retrieve the ID from the name, which is not great. And I guess basically what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get the int value of the dropdown, because the dropdowns are always ordered from 0 to whatever their count is, and their values are the index basically of the object that you selected. So I need to get that index, then go back through my list of IDs and get the ID that way, because that's the only way I think that I could reliably get the correct ID every single time. And because it is impossible for you to have a list of rooms in your dropdowns um, and have that list change on you. Now you can have the name change on you, but that's fine because we have the index and the ID, which are integers. So that's not really going to be a problem. So I guess we're going to go ahead and then say room names. So let's go public int get, not fort, get room ID. And this is going to be from an int index first. And I don't really want to do one for string, so I guess this is going to be our only one. And that means that we're going to say if index is larger is greater than room info dot count -1. We'll just say greater than or equal to. We will return -1. Otherwise, we're going to say return room info of index dot ID. Okay. So that should basically let us get that int ID a little bit easier. And that means on room exit node, whenever we change our target, we're going to need to say what it is. Oy. So let's go ahead and we're going to say private int target ID is equal to -1 by default. And then we're going to say on target changed, target ID is equal to global.get custom game author session dot get room ID, then value. Okay. So now if we do this, we should be able to see that our ID is going to be 10, I believe. It'll start out at -1 when we first do this, essentially, and then it will become 10. Let's go ahead and do that test. New room name, add exit. Okay. So, super fun. We have to navigate all the way down to it again. Connections, exit scroll area. Here we are. So let's go to debug. And come on. Damn it. It says -1 still. Boo. Okay. Well, that means that it's either not getting the right thing. Okay. Let's debug what it thinks it's giving. So we're going to say debug.log value. And oh man, that's going to be super trippy. I also need a function to basically get a index from an ID. That way that when I generate all of these dropdowns, I can make sure they have the correct one selected by default. That's super fun. So we're going to say public int get room index from a int ID. And then we're going to say room info. It's just going to be this basically. New room equals get room from the ID. And then we're going to say return room info dot index of new room. Which I guess I don't really need to store that new room. I think I can just do this. That should be fine. Well, actually, no. We're going to say new room because we need to say if new room equals null, we're going to want to return -1. That way, in case you delete the room, it won't try to find it, basically. Which I guess actually getting a room with an ID that doesn't exist would return -1 anyway. So I think I can actually just leave it like this, because an index of a null object would be -1, I would think. Um, so that should work. Let's go ahead and I guess we would say we're going to initialize. We're going to set our target. No. Probably should have initialize be called first, and then we'll do from JSON to get which target ID we want. And I guess room ID.value. Let's go ahead and say debug.log target ID. So I have both the value and the target ID that it thinks that it is, which apparently has been -1, which means that it thinks that it doesn't exist, and that's not great. So and actually, you know what? I guess right here I'm going to go ahead and do plus. No, screw it. I'm actually going to move this into the get room ID. Go to definition. I'm going to say debug.log string.format 0, 1, and then we're going to say index and room info dot count. That way I can make sure that it doesn't think it has 0 for some reason. So, I'm curious why it wasn't working before. I think all the logic was there. Let's go ahead. We have a new room. Let's go to our author session. I mean, it says that it exists. I'm going to add it. It's getting populated. It didn't log anything. Oh, I bet it's because it's not changing. Crud. So this is going to be weird, but add a second new room with an exit. Yep. Okay, so that time it actually is setting it. So the problem with the first one was that I was clicking on the exact same object, which wasn't saying that my value has changed, so it wouldn't save out. Super great. Okay. So we do know that that works, which means that when we load, I do need to make sure that well, after initializing our drop-downs, I need to make sure that I select the correct one. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this. And come back over here. So I suppose we'll do I want to do from JSON so soon? So we're going to be in custom game view. We just initialized it. There's nothing really to do for a new exit besides initialize it. It's stupid to try and do a from JSON on it, because that doesn't make sense. So I guess part of initialize should just be straight up making sure that we select specific values, I guess. So let's go ahead and say generate target dropdowns. Target ID is equal to, actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and say target dropdown dot value. I believe this is what I can do. Equals 0. That's going to be the first option in the dropdown. And I don't think that that's enough necessarily to guarantee that you're going to actually get a on-changed event fire. So I'm going to just go ahead after that and say target ID equals global.get custom, wow, I can't spell, custom game author session dot get get room ID from index 0. So that should initialize our target ID. And we don't really need anything else. So we're going to go ahead and say direction dropdown dot value is equal to 0. It's going to be the same. Don't need to worry about it. And that should properly initialize everything at the very least. So do I need anything else from here? I guess I should. So let's go ahead and find a way to save these out. So by the end, I'm hoping in a little bit we'll actually be able to get it saving data to and from JSON. That way we can like click on the room node, make our edits, close it, click on a different room node, have its information populated, and then we can have these two different rooms be available. So let's see. I'm going to need my custom content utility. Custom content utility. So exits, we have exit direction, exit target, which is pretty much all I need, isn't it? Super. Okay. So we're going to say direction dropdown dot value is equal to JSON dot get int value custom content utility dot exit direction. Okay, it's going to be 0 by default. Then, okay, this is where it gets super funky. We're going to have to say target ID is equal to JSON dot get int value custom content utility dot exit target. Okay, then we have to change our actual dropdown to be so target dropdown dot value is equal to global dot get custom game author session dot get room index from target ID. Okay. Because we're going to generate all of our drop-down stuff. Then we're going to set our target ID, and then we need to make sure that the drop-down is set to be the correct drop-down value. So it's not confusing for people. That's pretty much all we have to do. So exits basically comprise a direction, north, south, east, west, up, down, in, out, I suppose will be the ones that we currently do. I think that covers all of the directions. And a target, just those two things. So that means for toJSON, we're just going to have to say JSON dot add. It's going to be this. There's our direction, and then direction dropdown dot value. Okay. And pretty much the same thing here. So except this is going to be our exit target, and this is just going to be our target ID, because we don't actually care about the drop-down value for that. Okay, so that means that our room exits should now be like perfectly fine with data. So I can come up here to our custom room view now, and oof. Hold on, how do I want to do this? So we can clear exits, generate exits. So we're going to need to actually set these up. So we're going to say for int I equals 0, I is less than, I believe we're going to say exit, room exits dot count. So the room exits are our actual data. So we got to figure out how we want to do this then. So even if I have the nodes actually saving out, it's not quite good enough because I have to get the information from the actual UI interface to the data, which is exit info over here. It's not super great. Although I guess actually it's kind of going to be like I'm just going to populate this information with the JSON generated from the dropdowns, I suppose. So that's not terrible, although that's a weird cyclical relationship. Okay, so from JSON, we're just going to say, this is going to suck, isn't it? Yep. Oh, man. Up, down, north, east, southwest, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. So I don't even have a, like, well, do I need anything else besides that? I think the only thing after all of that would probably be, like, in or out. But maybe this is enough for now. So let's go ahead and say, God, this is going to suck so hard. These values don't map from 0, which makes it very hard to populate them based on a drop-down. But I don't want to change them now because that would suck for the rest of the game. So that's not super great. Great. I keep hitting my mic. Sorry about that. Jeez, how do I want to do this then? That means that instead of a value, I need to store the actual name. Blarg. Okay. So let's go to our, let's see, room exit node, I believe is what I called it. Yep. So we're going to go back here and say from, or to JSON isn't going to be this drop-down value anymore. It's actually going to be direction drop-down dot. Do I have a dot names? There's a value. Is there a text? There's a caption text, which I assume. Great. I don't know what the difference between caption text and caption text is. Okay. I think I can get the options though. Yeah. Options of the drop-down's value. Then I'm guessing dot text. Okay. So we can save that out as text basically, and then get the index of that text. So super great, but you know, do what you gotta do. So, give me a second here. That means it's gonna change how this gets populated. Let's go ahead, comment that out. Let's say 0, and we're going to need to say string direction equals this. Get string value. Is direction actually what I call this? Nope. Good. Okay. So once we have the direction that it should go, we can actually try to reverse it. So, oh boy. I believe we're going to want to say collection manager dot get collection direction ID. Direction ID collection dot get. No. Find. Here we are. Oh man. Maybe I should just. No, that won't work. Jeez. Do I have dot names? No, of course not. Dot elements. I have something that is the list items. There we are. But I can't just get it by index. So super great. I need to loop through them all until I find the direction and then get the. Jeez. All right, hold on. So this is a list of direction ID collection. Oh, wait, no. This is a list of direction ID. What the heck? Get collection should return a single collection. What the hell? Repeat this. Yeah, there we go. See, that makes more sense. I think. So we're just going to try this then. List direction ID collection directions equals this. I know that's not right. It's going to say that it cannot. What? Is it direction ID then? There we go. Got my own collection system. Sometimes it's stupidly complex. We're just going to say this is north by default. So it gives us all of our items. And then we're going to have to say for int I equals 0, I is less than directions dot count I plus plus. Okay. If directions of I dot name is equal to direction int direction index is equal to 0, direction index equals I, and actually I'm going to have to break after that. Break. Okay. Is direction index. Jeez, this is nuts that I had to go through all of that trouble just to do this. Direction ID dot north dot name. Ah, jeez. Okay, so that should basically set up the correct direction value. This is why I hate trying to do nested loading of objects, because there's just so much crap you have to do to make sure that it's always correct. Okay, so that should actually get it to load properly, I think. So let's come back here to our custom room view. Oh, and that was just straight up the room exit node. Now I need to get that data back into the room exits. Okay. Let's see. On exit edit. Here we are. How do I want to do this? This is kind of awkward. We're going to come up here. A list of room exits. So we're going to have to say, do I want to try to map room exits to exit nodes based on index, or should I try to make a dictionary? Jeez. I think by index should be fine. Because I already have two lists, I don't really need to make my exit nodes be associated with those exits, I think. Because they should always be the same anyway. So let's go ahead and say on exit edit, I'm going to say int index is equal to exit nodes dot index of node. All right. And then we're going to have to say room exits of of index is equal to new room exit node.toJSON. I think that will work. It'll basically clear out the old one. Well, you know what? Actually, I think I'll just do, instead of that. Oh, jeez. Ah, jeez. Okay, hold on. Let me add a convenience function here. Let's go ahead and say public int target ID get return target ID. All right, and then we will want to also have public. Do I want to make it a direction? It's got to be a string, doesn't it? So string direction. Target direction, I guess. Target direction. Get. It is going to basically be all that stuff that we did. Oh, that is so gross. Let's see. Jeez, no, that's not super great. Jeez. I almost wish I could just get a, like... I can't do it, though, because the directions don't start with 0. Makes it very annoying to do anything with this. Let's see, directions... Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. God, that sucks. So I basically need to do the exact same thing that I'm doing here. Just slightly different enough that it's going to be terrible. Okay. And then we're going to return direction. Actually, I lied. I do not have to do any of that because I can just straight up say what I did for 2JSON, can't I? I can just straight up do that. That is way easier. Okay. Get that. All right. So now back here, we'll just say, instead of making a whole new one, we can just say dot target is equal to node dot target ID. Room exits of index dot direction equals crud. Node dot direction. Yep. It's a string and an int trying to be fed into this. Room exits. Wait. Shouldn't this be room exit info? Oh. Yeah, well, that's kind of... Okay. So this should actually be room exit info. Okay. And the direction is still a direction ID, which is not super great. So for this, we're going to want to say collection manager. Oh, geez, I don't want to do that. Directions don't need to have completely unique ID. No, they do. I think I can store this as a string for now. Go to definition. Let's just make this a string. String. I don't know if it'll actually let me do that. Let's go ahead and just say north. Okay. So by default, we'll probably have things face north for direction that you're going to target. Oh god, it's a never-ending rabbit hole. Of course, once you have north as a direction you've selected, if you add another exit, it should not default to north. You should never have more than one exit going in one direction. Ah, jeez. Great. Okay, let me think. Not going to worry about that for now. I am not going to worry about that for now. Instead, I am going to worry about how I'm going to set up things like variable checks. Jeez, this is going to suck. And I guess while that's going on, let's go ahead and let this compile. So the next thing that I have to consider is I want the player to be able to specify, like, you can go through this door if these sets of criteria are completed. Now, obviously, you wouldn't have to. You can just say, like, you can always go through this door. But, jeez. I need to make sure that they can set up those lists of criteria for when you can go through the door. Now, the reason that that's kind of problematic is because, well, let's go ahead and play. Add a new room. If we add a new exit, we have new room and all this fun stuff. Well, how am I supposed to edit the criteria for this? So all this does right now is say, like, you can exit to the north. But I probably need to add some way of setting up variable checks to make sure that you can actually progress that way if you need to. Oh, jeez. Okay, well, let me think. How do I want to do this? North, new room. Actually, going to maximize on play. There's a lot of weird, sort of like bumps that things seem to get at lower resolutions. So I think that's going to be a problem for another day for now. I think what the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get this new room stuff actually editing information. So if I change this to like test room, and then close, this should now say test room instead of room name. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So I'm not really going to worry about this for now. And instead, I will go ahead and set this stuff up. So these are pretty much going to be the exact same to and from JSONs as this, kind of. So that's our to JSON. This is just going to say direction and target. And then target is equal to JSON.get, no, not string, get int value, and then all this stuff. Okay, and just go ahead and duplicate this. This is going to be direction, get string value, and exit direction. Okay, simple enough. So that should actually let us save everything at the very least. So room exit node, I think we're done with. Custom room view. All right. Do I have a on room exit? Yeah, on name edit autosave. Let's see here. I probably should have a current room being edited, I'm guessing. Yeah, so let's change this to room info. Room description. Exit nodes. Not worried about that. Exit prefab. Private. Do we actually? I really don't think we need this, do we? I do need. Well, not sure if we do need that or not. Let's go ahead and say room exits equal to room info. Not that. Room info. exits. Okay. And then, do we have a refresh info? We do. Hooray! So we'll call refresh info on this. So this is going to be, we're going to call it generate exits at the bottom here, which obviously we'll need to call clear exits to start. Okay. And then we're going to say name field, name field, I'm guessing. Yes. Text is equal to room name. Then description field dot text is equal to room description. Okay. Then let's say for all of this, we're going to say, I'm going to go ahead and come down here, do all of this. And then after initialize, we're actually going to say exit node dot crap. That's not. Dang it. Give me a second here. Go to definition, initialize. So I need to pass the room, the room info to this, or actually no, I need to pass the exit info to this. So let's go ahead and go to definition, drag this over here. So I'm not quite done with this yet then. And I actually want this to say room exit info equals null. And I guess we'll say no. That's not what I want to do. Initialize should just straight up set all of the initial variables. So it should generate your drop downs. It should set their values to be 0 and do all that stuff. And then I will call a second function that will actually load data. Now originally that was going to be from JSON, but since I don't really have the JSON accessible, I should instead say, well, I guess initialize with that actual information. I didn't want to do this, but I guess I'm going to have to, won't I? Actually, you know what? No, this is fine. So I'm going to say room exit info equals null. If info is equal to null, then we will do this stuff. Else we will try to load from it. Oh dear, this is where it's going to suck, trying to get the drop down value to work. So target ID is going to be equal to info.target, okay, lowercase t. And then we're going to say target dropdown is equal to global, basically going to be this, but slightly different. And this is going to say get room index from target ID. Why are you mad? Oh, because I got to say dot value. Okay. And once we set that, we have to reverse engineer this stupid direction thing. Of course we do. Alright. Not getting any younger. Int direction index equals 0. For int I equals 0, I is less than direction dropdown dot options dot count I plus plus direction drop down if direction drop down dot options of I dot text is equal to info dot direction. We'll break out direction index equals I, and then direction target or direction drop down dot value is equal to direction index. Ugh. I feel like I have to shake the nastiness off every time I have to talk about the direction stuff. It's just such nasty code. Okay. So I still don't think. Oh, of course not. What are you complaining about? Oh, shite. Hold on. Go to definition. I suppose the room node actually should have room info, not. Oof. Gross. Hold on. It's just going to be straight up equals info. Let's find all this references. Yeah, I guess that's fine. So let's go ahead and do this. I think we can get rid of that whole thing. Okay. So let's go back up here. On generate exits, we need to say initialize and then room exits of I. Okay. So that should actually populate everything. Let that compile. Oh boy, there's still one more null reference. Ah, crud. Yep. Alright, we're just going to say this for now. Because I know that it's going to complain. Alright. So we're about halfway to getting that stuff to save. Just so much fun. Let's see here. So we are generating our exits. We are refreshing our information. And finally, are we using this at all? Find all references. Good. No, because we don't ever need to. So I can get rid of it. So room exits, doing all that stuff. Okay. Now we need to make sure that when we close, well, see, how are we saving this? If we say private room info equals room info equals nothing. And let's just say don't really need any of this, I don't think. Instead, I can change this to say this dot room info equals room info. Okay. Which I know means I'm going to have to come down to here and just add room info in front of everything, but why are you mad now? Ah, right, because it's just called exits. Exits. Okay. Do that. Do that. almost done. Do exits. There we are. Okay. Now, let's see. Curious to see how that's going to handle. Let's go ahead and come on. You can do it, Unity. There you go. I'm not going to maximize on play because I want to keep an eye on my room info values. Once I can actually move. Okay. So we're going to add a new info, or a new room. Boom. Drag this out. Okay, so it does actually say new room. Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. So and I guess, jeez, this is gonna suck. So I need to set the room info inside the custom game author session whenever I make an edit. Super great, super great. Let's see. So we're gonna say on name edit. We're gonna say room info dot room name is equal to value. Okay. And am I doing that on end edit? I am. Good. And let's go ahead and say value dot is null or empty question mark. If it is, we're going to reset it to say new room. Else it's going to be value. Okay. And just to make sure that everything gets set up properly, I'm going to say name field dot text is equal to room info dot room name. I know that seems like a little bit of redundancy, but the reason I'm doing that is that if you delete a room's name, it should probably keep a name. Like it should probably default to a room called new room or something. I can't really think of an instance where it would be better to not have a name. I guess I can conceive of the possibility of someone not wanting a room to have a name, but I think that the vast majority of people aren't going to have that problem. And I would prefer, if that was the case, for them to just use like a space, just so that I can ensure that it's not an empty string. Anyway, so on name edit, okay. On description edit, we're going to do the same thing, sort of, except we're just going to straight up say it because the room doesn't necessarily need a description. I mean, it should have one, but I'm not going to penalize you for not having one. So we're going to say room info dot description is equal to value. All right. And then for autosave, we're just going to be saying global.get custom game author session dot get room based on the ID that we will pass, and that ID is going to be our room ID, I guess. It'll be room info dot room ID. Okay. Then we'll say dot room name equals room info dot room name. Go through this a couple of times. Oops, a couple of times. Room description. Oh, whoops. Room description is equal to that. Exits is equal to that. Okay. And I think that will basically do what we want. And the real trick here is that on close, we need to be sure that we send out an event basically that tells the game map to refresh everything. This is going to be super fun. So up here on close, we're going to need a function here that's like refresh. So where is generate connections called? Find all references. It's not called, which is fine. Let's see, room node. Nodes JSON. See, and this is where it gets kind of awkward. So let's go to room node here. Go to definition. I need a initialize. Okay, that's fine actually. So instead of doing this, we're going to say node dot initialize. And we'll need to give it a room info. Where is my... Right. Hold on. I'm going to comment that real quick because we're actually going to want to say not lantern. List room info. Rooms is equal to not client global.get custom custom game author session dot room info. Yep. Okay. Then we're gonna say rooms dot count. Okay. And then we're gonna say initialize from rooms of I. That should set all of that stuff up. Okay. That means that we should be able to just call generate nodes whenever we do this. So I might have a public function here. Public void refresh map. And I'm just going to move this down into this. And we will eventually have this call generate connections. We'll not do it now, but it will do it sometime. Okay, so come up here, clear exits, do all this stuff, and then we're going to say UI.get custom game map view dot refresh map. Oy. Okay. And even before we're done here, I need to come down here, and I need to say label.text is equal to room data dot room name. Okay. I think we are probably about 75% of the way there now. We're not fully done yet. I need to come down here to whenever I say add new node. Let's see, on new node. Here we are. Okay, so it is automatically going to do that. All right. Let's see if that works. Because the main thing I wanted to do was I wanted to have the name show up. So when we change it, it'll actually function. And I'm curious to see if this works. Fingers crossed. I'm really hopeful. Okay, so let's save this. Play it. And... okay, so it says new room, which is good. Before, I think it said game room. Let's change this to say test room. Let's give it a test description. Test description. Okay. Let's close. Damn it. So close, I assume. What? I'm sorry, what? Oh, don't tell me. Yeah. Dang it. Okay. It could. It's. I think that no reference came because I have these things set up like this. So great. So I probably need to do like a dry run of the entire freaking. Um, or I can just change how my UI works. So I'll do that real quick. Because this is good for testing anyway. So UI get, here we are. We're looking for our views. If menu is equal to null, let's go ahead and say da, 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 menu. No, that's not going to work. Equals instance dot get component of t. Actually, get component in children. Get component in children t. And then if menu equal to null, see if that fixes that real quick. Okay. Just to try. See if that works. Because I think the problem was that when it tried to get this map, it didn't look for one below it. It just generated a new one. So it makes testing this stuff kind of hard. So let's try this again. New room. Test room. Test description. Close. Yes! So we have this, and okay. So let's close this out. Okay, that's fine. Let's go ahead and add a new room. This is going to be room 2. Room 2 description. I'm going to close that out. That's a little awkward. They seem to be snapping to the center. Test room. Yeah, that's weird. Oh, I know why. It's because we're not saving their actual position, but that's fine. So they're just generating at 0, 0. But yes, we are actually populating the content of the rooms now. So it looks like, I guess as a final test, let's add this. I do actually have 2 different rooms now, which is good, although the check marks remain, which is kind of wonky and not great. But, okay. Oh, that's super great. We have an argument out of range exception. That just makes me super happy now, doesn't it? Uh-oh. Okay, hold on. So close. Where is this error coming from? 145. What? What script? Room exit node. That's why. What the heck? I don't. Okay, hold on. So 145 would have been here. Target drop down. Dot on value change. Dot add listener. Why are you doing that? Okay, hold on. Oh, I must have saved by accident or something. So it looks like exit drop downs are still giving us a little bit of trouble, but it's at least somewhat working. Um, okay. Oh, right. And I suppose, let me go ahead and come down here. my room node. Here we are. So I actually do need this to. Well, eh, it's not super great, but I guess I can store that information in the room info. I'd prefer not to. Matter of fact, I intend not to. So, mm, no, that doesn't quite work, does it? Ah, jeez. Well, hold on. Yeah, I gotta change how I save that stuff out, which is super great, but that's fine. For now, I'm curious if we still get that error. So let's go ahead and play. New room. We'll call this test room 2. Say test. Close this out. Cool. Add a new room. We're going to call this room number 2. Or I guess 3. And this one we won't give a description. Oof. So test room 2 does load up. 3 does load up. Add an exit. Okay, so that gives me another custom room view at 145. Okay, so that makes more sense. Custom room view at 145. Room view 145. Room info. Exits. Really? See, that doesn't make sense. Oh, is it because I didn't add? Hold on. On new exit, click. There we go. Yeah, that's why. So I need to be sure that I say room info dot exits dot add new room exit info. There we are. Okay. So that was the null ref or the index out of range exception we were getting. So let's go ahead and let that compile, test that out. I am hopeful. It's always something small like that where it's not really an error, more of an oversight. It's more human error than scripting error, I suppose. So new room. Call this one test. Give a description of test. Close. New room. Call this one T2. Blarg. Close that out. Yeah, it's still unfortunate that they're going to overlap like that for now. Let's go back to our original one. We're going to add this. We can do test or T2. Test, good. It looks like it's not breaking anymore. So let's close out. Let's go to our test one. But boom! Okay, and T2. Yes! All right. So we do actually have this stuff going. I'm going to say saving in massive quotes because obviously none of this is actually getting saved out to a JSON file yet, but it is saving it locally, which is pretty good. So let's go ahead and close this out. So I think the next thing that I'm going to do is get the node positioning saved. That way I don't have to constantly deal with this overlapping. And that's actually going to be kind of weird because it's going to end up changing how JSON is saved. So my original idea was that the custom map stuff, like all of your editing, was basically going to end up giving you the same JSON as your end result. So the custom JSON file that you would give to other people to have them play your game. But I think what I'm going to end up doing is there's going to be a little bit of a difference in the two files. So for your editor file, the file that actually has all of this map relevant information in it, it's going to have some extra fields that won't be included. And instead, what we'll do is when you're done, we will have you export your file. And that file won't contain relevant information like map, positioning, and all of that stuff. It'll just contain the stuff that's necessary for actual gameplay, which would be things like IDs, rooms, room names, room contents, blah 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 blah. And the added benefit of that is that if you're a player making your own custom game and you want to have people test it, then you can give them the test file, and they can't run off and then say like it's their game because they don't have the original positioning data. They would just have this bit of random data that wouldn't be able to be read into this. So they could, in theory, go through and manually redo a bunch of JSON, but it would be way more user effort than just giving them a actual copy of a functioning file. So let's go over here. Oh, actually, and I didn't test it. I need to test if the room having its name be empty will set up an actual value there. So delete. Ta-da! Delete. So if you have nothing, it'll tell you that it's going to be new room, and then as soon as you click, boop. Haha! Good. Okay. So this is where it's going to get fun. We're going to come up here, and we're going to say, oh god, this is going to be so weird. I guess. No, I don't. It doesn't make sense for the custom game author session to retain information on the nodes. That's too weird. Maybe I should have a dictionary in the custom map view. So we're going to come up here, and we're going to say nodes, connections. Okay, let's go ahead and say private dictionary. I guess we'll move this up. Of int, which will be the IDs, and then vector2, which will be their positions. So we're going to call this node positions equals blah blah blah. Okay, so we're going to be using the room ID to map where they should exist, basically. Am I going to use this at all? Find all references? No. Good. Don't need it. Don't want it. So, except I kind of will need that, won't I? Nah, it's fine for now. So, generate, initialize. We don't need to do it on generate nodes, but we will need to whenever we. Let's see, on node begin drag, on node end drag. Okay, we're gonna set. This is gonna be fun. Node positions of node dot room data dot room ID is equal to node dot give me a second. We're gonna need its local position, I guess. No, we would need its anchored position, I believe. So let's go to this definition real quick. Where are you? Wow, I don't know why it took me so long. Apparently, I've been developing for too long. It's been, well, I guess it has been like 2.5 hours. Okay. Let's make this public facing. And do I want to set this? Oh no, I can just do set position there. So I don't even need to worry about that. Sweet. So I did a little bit of I did have a little bit of forethought. Um, Except that's not going to work for me getting my position, I'm guessing. Although I can just add that. So public vector2 get position return cached rect dot anchored position. Sweet. So I'll come back here and we're just going to say equals node dot get position. Okay. And let's go ahead and say so we have our node positions on recycle nodes, generate nodes. Okay. We're going to want to say node.initialize and then node.set position node positions of rooms I dot room ID. Wow. Okay. I think that'll work. At least I'm very hopeful that it will. Yes. So we're gonna have to populate this actually initially. Well, actually, I don't think I'm gonna need to do that at first. I think it'll be like for this testing section. I don't think I'm gonna need to do that because this will kind of happen here. So we'll need to say node positions dot add node dot room data dot room ID and then node dot get position. Okay. So I think for just this small testing that I need to do, it should be fine. The real question is if it's going to save. Well, I mean, long term, I'm going to actually need to load that data in the form of JSON. But for this test, I'm not too worried. I just want to get these nodes positions saved, and then we'll probably call it a day on the stream. So let's do that. Let's call this test. Let's close this. Okay, it's looking good. Test 2. Close that. Close. Cool. So it looks like it's saving. Okay. I think that's a pretty decent spot to stop for the dev stream today. I need to take like a 5-minute break. It's really fun wrapping your head around a bunch of data, basically. So what's left in terms of the actual room positioning? Because this is probably going to be like the visualization of everything is what drives me the most crazy. And I didn't test if cool. So all this fun stuff. So our room labels will actually update, which is great. Clicking on a room will populate all of the information about that room, which is good. We can save with quotes exits and load them as well. But in terms of, there's still a lot of functionality that needs to be added here. Like I said, I have descriptions, which is great. We definitely need that. But for the exits, we're going to need to be able to allow people to specify criteria so that maybe they can't go through certain doors if certain values aren't true. I don't even know what happens if I hit delete here. Nothing. Okay, so delete doesn't do anything yet. We probably should get that functional. And I think hopefully by the end of next Saturday, we'll be able to get connections drawing. Connections are going to be like a whole weird can of worms just because they need to be able to update. So whenever you drag around, there should be like a line drawing from these rooms that are connected and it'll update its positioning. It's just going to be super fun because it's going to have to, stretch and make sure the angle is correct. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of stuff that needs to happen to properly make sure that everything sets up and is easy to understand. But I mean, we're making progress, which is good. Um, we just have a lot that needs to happen before it's even, presentable to anyone else. So, but yeah, so I think that's gonna do it for me today. Probably should get a screenshot of this, shouldn't I? Boop. All right. I guess we'll also get a couple of test things in here. So, test test description. Cool. Let's get some screenshots so I can post them on Twitter. Yeah. So that is. Yeah, we'll just let it compile. So that's a good place to stop, I think, for the day. Should be back on Tuesday, resuming our normal streaming schedule. So 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll probably still be delving into Markov chain cleanup because I'm hoping to get that really up and running over the next week, so that it's actually useful. But we'll see how well that integrates into our system, because I think I know how to use it. It's just going to be a little tricky. But yeah, so that should be Tuesday, and no other announcements off the top of my head. So as always, I want to thank everyone very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.